It's actually mobility. And that's particularly interesting in light of yesterday's panel discussion, where I think the audience was asked, who has a tablet or who has a mobile smartphone? Everyone raised their hand. Who's currently authorized to resell those products? All the hands drop, or many of them drop. So I've got my audience telling me that their customers are going to be asking for mobile solutions, and we have an audience here that potentially, most likely, isn't selling those solutions right now. In the next 12 months, you might have to be. So what I'd like to do here is, have this conversation and see if we can arm you guys with some information to bring you up to speed on, how you might be able to add mobile solutions to your portfolio. So the first question, we'll start with Alan, then go on to John and Greg. How big of an opportunity is mobility for dealers, and why is this such an opportunity?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is define what mobility is. Is it going to be mobility solutions associated with consumer devices, or is it going to be mobility solutions with merchant-owned devices? So that's going to be the first take. Obviously, for this audience, the merchant-owned devices are going to be where the opportunity is going to lie from a solution standpoint. As far as the size of that opportunity, I think we haven't really qualified, what that is from a marketplace perspective. But a couple of things that you can do when you step back from it and look at the data. So if you look at e-commerce data is still single digits. We've had e-commerce for over a decade now, and it's still single digits, about 8 to 9% of overall retail spend, transaction dollars in the United States. If you look at mobile transaction data, transaction data for 2010 was slightly less than 2% of the e-commerce number. So you're really small numbers relative to the actual transaction spend for the merchants that are out there. So what does that tell you? That still says that the stores are king relative to the marketplace and the associated opportunities. So I think we have to remind our customers relative to transactions that they're still occurring in the store, and that you have to have the right solutions in the store to be able to execute on those. So that'd be one of the first things that I would use as a qualifier when you just look at the transactions as a percentage. Relative to what the opportunity is going to be, I think we're at a really interesting place on the technology side. It's being led by consumer devices. The beauty of what Apple has given the industry is they have reminded us as consumers and users that it's not so important about how a solution makes something happen. What's important is what a solution does. So when I have an iPad, I don't care what version of iOS I'm running. I don't care that it's an ARM processor. I don't care about those things. What I care about is what I can do with it. And that's the way we think about those devices. However, on merchant devices, store IT, as everybody in this room well knows, we always have to think about the ongoing support and life of those solutions going forward. And at this point, you've got, Apple, who is clearly a consumer company, and Google, who is heavily consumer-oriented, but making ways toward the business side. And then you've got our friends Microsoft, who are purely driven on the business side, with still holding on to that consumer side coming into play. So there's a lot that has to settle out on the technology forefront before I think we can really have a clear view as to what the dollar opportunity is going to be. So to put a dollar on it, I can't do that. But clearly the growth numbers are pretty impressive when you look at every projection around what's happening around mobility.
Okay. John, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. Last week I was in Denver and I was driving some of my colleagues to the airport, and it made me think about this conference because we were a little bit late. We were in a little bit of a jam there in the Mile High City, and one of the gentlemen I was driving didn't have his boarding pass. He hadn't checked in. So he downloaded an app onto his smartphone and then downloaded his boarding pass. And it really made me think about our customers and our customers' customers. And I think the best way to look at this, aside from trying to quantify a specific financial opportunity, I think we've got to ask ourselves, do we want to be on the journey with our customers that our customers are on? And do we want to be on the journey with our customers' customers? Because the reality is, your customers want to connect with their customers, whether their customers are at their house, whether they're in the neighborhood, whether they're away from the neighborhood, and they're going to do that a variety of ways. And there's a huge opportunity in being part of that equation. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to organize those jigsaw puzzle pieces and decide which pieces are right for our story and our company as we advance our business. And we insist to be part of that equation because that's what the customers demand. Think about how exciting it is for an operator to use a smartphone to get an alert that helps them run their business better, or to get good news about an operation that they've been watching. For a customer to be able to log in or register to a favorite restaurant and then actually monitor a check and cash out that check at some point during their visit, and then tweet about it to their friends about their experience. That's the environment we're in. So I think we have to think of customers as on a journey, and that we're either going to be part of that journey or we're not. And I think it's important for the people in this room to figure out how to be part of that journey.
Okay. Greg, do you have any?
Well, there's a variety of ways to go with it. I think Alan hit on it to begin with. You've got to define, consumer mobile, associate mobile, and then mobile as point of sale, and where are those threats and things going on. I can tell you that mobility or the tablet or a handheld is really a Gutenberg moment for retail on a large scale. It's not quite going to be what the internet meant to retail, but it's going to be pretty close. It is going to be a huge disruptor, and the biggest disruptor is the price point. The $500 price point that the Apple iPad came in is the thing that the retailers are going hog wild about because it becomes a disposable item. Now the question becomes is, what are the stages? Let's stay for the business that you guys are in. What are the stages of using the mobile device in there? The first stage is giving the associate a mobile device to level the playing field in terms of the level of information that they have. Versus what the consumer comes in. Up to this point in time, the consumers had far more information walking into the store than the associate has. So that associate having a tablet computer to be able to get access to internal systems and other things to help out is a big assistance there. The second thing, and this would be my selling point for you in the first stage of this, would be to go out and sell this solution as a way of getting the store manager out from back of the office. There is very, very strong correlation that the success of a chain is tied to how many hours the store manager is on the floor rather in the back dealing with alerts, dealing with emails, dealing with things from corporate, doing labor scheduling, etc. The more that person can be on the sales floor, the greater the profitability is there. So that would be the first step that I would start promoting. The third step is both an opportunity and a threat, and that's when does the mobile device become the point of sale? In that environment, and we're quantifying that data right now. Our first research will come out at the end of August, early September, on at what point does the mobile tablet type device move from being additive to retail, where I've got 2 or 3 terminals in the store now and I add 4 or 5 tablets, to the point to where, I don't need 3 point of sale. I can get away with maybe 1 or 2 and add more tablets there because they can be throwaways. And right now it's looking at that 2013 to 2014 period when we're going to start seeing the tablets themselves start affecting shipments for point of sale. What we haven't quantified yet is whether or not retailing will be back to a level of growth to where that doesn't have an adverse effect on total volume. So it may slow the overall growth of point of sale, but because people are moving more and more from cash registers or dumb terminals to intelligent devices, we still maybe see growth in the marketplace. And those are all the numbers in the next month that we'll be crunching.
Okay.